Hi guys, and welcome to today's sit down video. In 2024, last year, I basically read 125 books, which is crazy. So in today's video, I'm gonna be doing yes, no, or maybe if I would recommend those books to you, the ones I read. And so let's just directly get into it because this video has been a long time coming and it's finally time. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. All of the opinions in this video are my own and do not take them seriously. Genuinely, everything I say comes with a grain of salt because half the times I forget what I'm saying, and it's not that serious. Reading is subjective. If I found something I enjoy, I'm happy. If I found something you enjoy, happy regardless. And it doesn't really matter. And apart from that, I read 125 books because reading is basically my only hobby, the only thing I do in my free time. It's not like a game or a competition or a challenge. I'm proud of you for whatever number of books you've read because it's not about the number, it's about the content you're reading anyway. And so let's just directly start. If you want in-depth opinions on any of the books in this video, 90% of them are featured in reading vlogs from last year, so you can always go check them out on my channel page because usually I keep the names of the books I read in my descriptions, and you can go look it up that way. If you want brief thoughts, so not too in-depth, you can watch my smash or pass video wherein I spoke about whether I'd smash or pass those books. I will put it up on screen. Starting off now with our video right now, yes, no, or maybe. The Kingdom of Sweets, maybe not. I know that's not like an option or whatever, but maybe not because I don't know the point of this book. Weather Girl, first half was very great. The second half fell flat for me. So again, it's a maybe. I wouldn't say no, but also the second half wasn't so fun, so maybe. All I Want for Christmas, again, this is a maybe because the last little plot twist or whatever that came in the last chapter absolutely ruined this for me. We could have very much gone without it, so maybe, maybe not. The Mysterious Affair at Styles, this might be one of the best thrillers I've read till date because the ending, it literally got me. This is the best mystery, I'm not even joking. Yes. The Rom-Com Agenda. You want a book where the man is still pining for his ex, except he's supposed to be going after the love interest now and not be, so busy and nosied up in his ex's life? Absolutely freaking not. I feel like this book was a waste of every second I spent on it. I hated every second. No. A Christmas Carol? Yes. If you just want to keep crying? Yes. I don't even know why I cried so hard, but yes. Booked on a Feeling, this is one of those rom-coms I read back to back to back to the point where it all blended and meshed into the same thing. So I'm just gonna say maybe because there's not a lot I remember from it, but from what I do remember, it was fun. It was more like palate cleansery, so maybe. Me reading my first Nicholas Sparks book, True Believer, absolutely not. This book reminded me the exact reason why I don't like reading books written by men. Absolutely freaking not. Stranger Upstairs, again, if the plot twist hadn't ruined this book for me, this might have been one of the best thrillers I've read in my life, but because it did, I don't know if it really was worth my time, so I'm gonna say no, but also I don't want to be too harsh, so it's like a maybe no, because I did enjoy the build-up, I just hated the conclusion, so much. Coat of Thorns and Roses, you want to ruin your life with the biggest hyperfixation ever? Yes, haven't stopped thinking about it. It's been a year now. I am, super hyper obsessed with this world. I can't wait to probably, go back to the series at some point. I can't wait to reread this at some point. I am obsessed. This has taken over every facet of my life. It's not even funny anymore. Yes, absolutely freaking yes. Please, if there's one book you're taking from this video, let it be this one because it's amazing. Night Shift. This is like a published Wattpad book, so on the basis of what you're in the mood for at the moment, this could very much be a yes and a hit, but also it's also like a maybe because it's very spicy for the length. But again, the cover is cute, it follows the book girly. I'm just gonna say yes because I'm in the mood for it, so yeah. Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. I cried to one scene about a sweater. If you've read this book, you know what I'm speaking about. If you haven't read this book, you're gonna wonder why I cried to a sweater. So you should read this book because yes, this hurt me. I feel like this book kind of broke me in some essence. And yeah, if you want to get broken as well, yes. I hope this doesn't find you. I did not find the romance in this book. It still hasn't found me. This is like a no from me because genuinely, I didn't feel the characters' chemistry at all. No, The Do-Over. I need to read more Lynn Painter. This book has single-handedly proven that. Everyone in my life has read at this point. My best friend, my book club, my younger sister. I'm trying to get my mom to read at this point because it's so freaking amazing. Yes, if you want to giggle every second of the way through. I know it's set on Valentine's Day. Valentine's went by, but read it regardless because listen, we're the hopeless romantics. If you're on my channel, you're probably a hopeless romantic as well. And this book is like a love letter to hopeless romantics. Take with that what you will. Absolute yes. Line Side. I don't know if it's a recurring theme with books or whatever, or it's just me, wherein I keep finding books where the guy is still running after his ex, still obsessed with his ex, still in love with his ex, and we're supposed to be rooting for him and the new love interest. So it's not a second chance with the ex like it should have been, it's with someone completely new, and that's what ruined the book for me. I'm gonna say no, because honestly, why? The two of us. This had something happen in it that had me crying, yes, and I did shed some tears, but also now I go back and wonder sometimes why that event happened in the first place that had you crying. So, maybe it was thrown in there out of left field, and I'm just gonna say maybe. I don't know if it really hit me with emotional impact or I just cried in the moment, but it's a maybe from me. The good part, I wanna reread this so bad. You know that Instagram like viral sound, can we skip to the good part? That's basically the premise of this book. Yes. Tell me lies, this is like 2007 college life, except it gets toxic and messy, and I've heard the show is better than the book. The book, it was really boring. I feel like the second half made up for it, but the first half, I was bored out of my mind, so I'm just gonna say maybe. It depends really on my mood, but for now it's a maybe. The Gift. Here's where I started my Frida McFadden obsession. I just finished reading like a couple days ago my 10th book by her, which is crazy. So I'm gonna say maybe not for this one because it didn't hit as hard. She's got better books in her backlist, but Frida is definitely an author you should consider because she's like in my top authors list. I love her and I love her books, but this one maybe not. The X-Talk. Again, the first half was really good. I feel like this book, the first half was better than the other book I was speaking about by this author at the beginning of the video, but then the second half felt flat for me. I don't know what it is that when the characters get together in a romance, I lose interest. Don't know what that says about me as a person, but this book is also a maybe because the tension at the beginning is really good and the banter is also really good. I actually remember bits of it, but then when they got together, I was bored, so it's a maybe. The Chemistry of Love. In this book, the solution to my problem is basically they don't get together until like 90-95%. It's such a slow burn. It's done so well. You've got the geeking, nerding characters. You've got them deep into their fan worlds or whatever. You've got the goofy side characters. You've got the best slow burn pining romance. Absolute yes. I want to reread this so bad. This was one of the best romance books I have read personally in my entire life. Forget the fact that I read it, last year or whatever. So yes. In 5 years, this has this one trope that I absolutely hate as a reader. So I'm gonna say absolute freaking not, because when that trope came up, I was so mad at it. So I know a lot of people love this book. I am in the minority that absolutely hates it. So from me, it's a no. But if you want to read it, you can. Just keep in mind it's got this one trope that got me really frustrated with it. It might do you as well. So maybe not for you, but from me it's an absolutely freaking not. This one, the first 200 pages are essentially just grieving for someone or whatever in the book, and then the second half essentially becomes like your favorite action mystery thriller movie, and that was really fun. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. I don't DNF books, so I would have read it anyway, but the second half was really fun. But then also, was it worth it to get to the second half if you had to slog through 200 pages of pointless mind-numbing grief? Because that's not really what I came for when I signed up for this as a mystery thriller. Maybe, but also sometimes I'll say no because I feel like it was too long-winded. How I'll Kill You. I don't want to know how this author got her tips in this book, but if you want like a handbook sort of guideline for what the title says, I'm not endorsing this. I'm just saying if you're looking for something like that, this book does have some very in detail tips, so keep that in mind. And I'm just gonna say, you know what? Yes, because I had a fun time reading. Bride and Groom. This had like one plot twist and I guessed it, and that's the worst part because it didn't have build up. It just had the same repetition until like 80%, and when things did finally happen, I was just so, checked out. So no. Please no. Sometimes I tend to pick up children's books that aren't really for my age range, but I pick them up anyway because I love doing so sometimes, inner child and all of that. So I'm gonna say yes for this because I had a fun time reading. I still have to go complete the series, but hopefully I will at some point because it's really fun. It's very wholesome, whimsical, sweet, and I had a good time. How to Love Your Neighbor. Another rom-com that I forgot everything about because I was reading too many rom-coms at that time, and so I haven't retained much, which means it was very forgettable in my memory. But also at the time of me reading it, I do remember I had a good time. So I'm gonna say maybe because there were bits that were fun, except I don't remember anything now, so that I don't really know what that says about the book or me as a person. But yeah. A Friend in the Dark. This is a mystery thriller that I did not give 5 stars when I read it at the moment, but thinking back on it, I think on certain plot twists of this book nearly daily, which is absolutely crazy because something happens towards the end and there's just plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, and this is the right amount of page length wherein, you know, it has you excited for those twists, and when they come in, they have your jaw on the ground. I really enjoyed this. This was really fun for me, so I'm gonna say yes. Dream a Little Dream of Me. I remember this was shorter in length and I didn't really enjoy it very much, but at the same time the cover is really cute, so I'm really confused because I'm just a girl. So I don't really know what I'm gonna say. Maybe not, I don't really know. But yeah, I do remember the romance in this fell a little cringe and flat for me, so maybe not. The Red Room, the topics explode in this book before you pick it up if you want to. Check triggers. And there are other books I've read that, you know, explore the same topics, but I feel like they explore them better. I think later in the PowerPoint we'll come across a book called Pretty Girls, which talks about the same topics, but it's done better according to me. So only because I've read that book, I feel like my experience of this has diminished. So I'm gonna say maybe if you want to read it, but personally I don't really want to read stuff like this anyway. I don't know if I'm ever gonna pick anything like it. Wasn't even aware in the first place because I went in blind, so I'm just gonna say maybe. To Serve with Love, so many people are gonna get mad at me. Maybe, because again, I don't remember much about it. It's just your basic rom-com. I don't really see the hype, but also I know a lot of people love it, so I'm not going to get too critical of it. I'm just going to say maybe and we'll move on. The Infinity Between Us, this book, yes. Please, yes, there's so much I remember and love about it. It's got the beach house setting in the Summerside, coastal town, you know, second chance, childhood friends to lovers romance. That is right up my alley for good reason. And I read this book in the month of May, I believe, last year, and all the following books after it that I read in May, I feel like was the best time of my year, simply because it was like summer romances that I was actually really enjoying. And so yes, this started up that obsession. Yes. The Paradise Problem, I feel like this and The Chemistry of Love might have been the best romances I've read all year last year. So absolute yes. Honestly, I reread it recently in a different video, gave it 5 stars. Yes, it was so fun, and now I can't wait to reread it for like a third time because this is one of the best books I've read ever. Yes. Bad Men, she kills bad men, except no one really knows she does that because she's like a popular socialite or whatever, and everyone thinks she's just like a good girl because, you know, women, they can't really do that, can they? So absolute yes, because I love Safi so much. I don't know what it is when I read serial killer books that really have me going, so yes. My Roommate is a Vampire. I don't know. If it found me at a better time in life, I would say yes, but right now it's a maybe because there's like a whole story behind me wanting to read this book. I'd actually, you know, started this on Kindle a couple of years ago around like Halloween time when it came out, except I started really enjoying it, so I called for like a physical copy that never came in the mail, and then because of that, when it finally came in the month of December during Christmas time, I was completely checked out and out of it. When I restarted again last year, it took quite a bit to get through. So now, briefing on all of the story, it's a maybe from me, but if I had read it in one sitting around Halloween time, just finished it out on my Kindle, it would have been a yes because this is really good, don't get me wrong, it's just my fault, I'm the problem here. So it's a maybe. Long Weekend, again, I feel like I was finding such amazing books back to back. This is a yes. I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars in the moment. It's a mystery thriller and the epilogue in this is in the murderer's point of view. That is wild. That is crazy. Yes, it was so fun. And this is another book I keep thinking about the plot twists of on a regular basis, which is crazy because I didn't even give it 5 stars. So yes, this is where my reading started to go downhill again because apparently I don't deserve good books, or at least that's what the universe thinks. Absolutely freaking not. This is me trying out the same author as In 5 Years. It's got that same trope from In 5 Years in it, and so that ruined it for me. So no, please no. I would rather die. No. This book also has the same trope as the previous couple that I was speaking about. I want to scrub my eyeballs out. No. I hated this. No. Before anything, I'm going to thank you guys for being on this channel because it's all thanks to you that I was sent the arc of this book, Mr. Berlin on YouTube. I actually love watching his like crime like stories or whatever, and so whenever I watch him on YouTube, it's crazy that I got the arc of his book, read it, had such an amazing time. It feels just like his storytelling style in his YouTube videos, so if you want something like that but in graphic novel format, this is great. I had a great time reading. Sometimes I even forgot I was reading stories, and that's the whole point of it, so yes. Float, I think when I go on summer vacation again this year, I'm gonna reread this because this is such like a wholesome, comforting, sweet romance to me. It's not just a romance, it's like a story about friendship and love and like, you know, teenage life, and it's so well done. I really really liked it. I believe there's a movie on it as well that I'd like to watch at some point. It's a yes from me. This has got all the perfect vibes. It's also published Wattpad, but it's really good, and I want like a physical at some point too, because this is the kind of stuff I want on my shelves, because it actually deserves a spot on my shelves. I love it. The Perfect Marriage. I feel like a few months ago I was actually really into the Netflix, I think, legal drama series called How to Get Away with Murder. Again, don't know what that says about me when I watch stuff like that, but I had a good time watching, and so I heard this book was like a legal thriller or whatever, so I figured I'd pick it up because I was in the mood for it. And I feel like the last like plot twist or whatever at the end of it came out of left field, so I'm gonna say maybe, because there was no establishment or setup for it. But otherwise it was a good book. I had a fun time reading, helped, you know, quench my legal thriller want or whatever, and I believe there's a second book coming out to this. I don't know if I'm gonna read that. I maybe will, just to see where it goes, but yeah, this is a maybe. This book, something happens towards the end of it to the characters. It's not like a trope they do to each other or whatever, it's just something that happens to them, and I feel like we could have just ended the book. It was like 2 chapters before the end of the book. We could have literally just ended it without that thing happening, and I would have been happy and I would have given it a yes, but because it happened, this is like a maybe not, because what was the point of it? That's all I want to know. Why? No one can know. I don't know. I literally don't know. Maybe not, because the plot twist fell flat for me. But yeah, maybe not. First Lie Wins. This is really up there in the category of the best thriller I read last year, along with Bad Men and Long Weekend, because this was so good. I want to just go ahead and scream from rooftops about it, but I'm an introvert, so that's never gonna happen. But this was good. Read it if you want to. This is an absolute yes from me, and I want to reread it. I want to reread a thriller. Never thought I'd see that day, but you know, it's come at some point. So yeah. Yes. Love interest. Again, the first half was great. The second half, I don't know why that happens to me in rom-coms. It fell flat for me, so maybe I should just stick to reading slow burns that I actually know I'll enjoy. But this was fine otherwise. I'm gonna say maybe. Not Without Me. When you learn why the title is, you know, what it is. No. Please no. I want to bleach my eyes out. How to End a Love Story. She starts falling for the man who accidentally killed her younger sister. I never thought I'd read something like that. I wish I hadn't. Honestly, I wish I could just go back and like ask myself not to read it. If I went back 1 year in time, I would actually tell my previous past self, rather than telling her about current events or whatever, I'd tell her not to read this book because I just feel so strongly about it. No. Locked In. I think this is like a middle grade like children's book, but it was sent to me and I was in the mood for it, so I read it, and it's like a maybe. It was fun. Again, but better. I read this last year in the month of July, I believe. At that point I didn't have like a single 5-star book I'd read or whatever, so that was sad for me. But you know, I was really hoping this would be a 5, and it had everything in it to be a 5, except there was that whole trope that happens towards the end of the book that really put me off from it. So I'm gonna say yes, because it was a good book to read, except the whole thing at the end really ruined it for me, which is why I downgraded to like 4.5 stars. It was good, but that whole thing at the end didn't have to happen, so no, maybe not. I don't know, I'm confused. Maybe. The French Girl. I hardly remember anything from this book. I'm just gonna say maybe and we'll move on, because I know there was like a romance thrown in there out of nowhere that I didn't enjoy, but apart from that, I don't remember much, so maybe, maybe not. Yes, I'm a child again when I read these books especially. Yes, please go pick one up if you haven't already. You can finish them in like literally 15 minutes, and it's so fun to read anyway, and it's got like a good like life lesson or whatever imbibed in it, which is weird because I've never seen something like it in stories, so that's fun for me. Yes. Lo and behold, this was the first book I gave 5 stars last year, because the last 200 pages of it had me bawling my eyes out. If you haven't read it, before you buy this book, go buy yourself a box of tissues and then get this book, because that's all I'm gonna say. Absolute yes. If you want to be sad for a whole week straight, yes. Begin Again. This was basically me trying to pick up like another rom-com, you know, hoping it wouldn't disappoint, hoping it would cure me from the sadness, the immense pain I had felt from the previous book. This was my second 5-star of the year. Book God started really feeling bad for me, so they gave me a couple 5 stars back to back, which I'm really grateful for, because I had such a fun time reading. And anytime I speak about this book, I speak about the fact that Milo, the guy in this book, has his own coffee blend. Like, absolute yes, come on, that's a smash. Orbiting Jupiter. I feel like when I read Second Chance Summer, it really took away my capacity to feel emotions deeply for like a whole week or so, for a whole couple of weeks, because I wasn't feeling much. I was just in this numb state. So maybe if I reread this at some point, this would hit me the way the impact had to be delivered. But because I wasn't feeling much at the moment, because I'd already been drained of all emotion from that book, I'm gonna say this is a maybe, because I didn't feel a lot about it. I didn't feel the grief, I didn't feel the pain, but I did believe it was sad when I read it in the moment, and there are certain scenes I think about sometimes. So it's a sad book, but it didn't really hit me or the impact of it at the time I read it, so it's a maybe. Such a good family. This is more like a domestic drama than a mystery thriller. I hate it when the books are promoted as mystery thrillers but they turn out not to be, and so you go into it thinking it's a mystery thriller but it's really not. So I'm just gonna say maybe, maybe not, simply because I had different expectations going into it. This was marketed a different way to me, and it could have been better if I would have known what I was going into while reading this. And again, if you want to pick it up, check triggers. But yeah, maybe not. Honey and Spice. I forgot to mention this, but this is also in my top rom-coms I read last year list. This is one of the best books. You want giggly, happy feelings? Read this book. I love the characters so much. The guy in this is one of my top book boyfriends ever because I'm so obsessed with him. I can't wait to reread this someday. I remember I was cackling at certain points in this because it's so funny and it's so worth it. And if you haven't already, please read it. Yes. One by One by Frida McFadden. Here's where I wanted to get back into her as an author, and I'm so happy I gave her a second chance, especially after reading that Christmas novella that I really didn't like. This was a yes. It took me a while to get to reading because it was slower to get into, but once I got into the hang of it, oh my freaking god, the ending, yes, I did not see that coming. It hit me like a truck 20 miles away. Yes. This Lie Will Kill You. When I was recording my Smash or Pass books video, I actually got confused with this book and a different thriller that will come up soon, and I got confused again. So I'm gonna say maybe, because if you get confused between books you've read in the past, it kind of shows you that they're kind of forgettable and like not memorable. So maybe, maybe not, because again, if this is the one I think it is, and I believe it is, there was no point to it. The ending is very cringe. I felt it in the moment. I don't feel it anymore because it was cringe, let's be real. So maybe not. Nora Goes Off Script. I have again reread this at this point. I actually reread it in the same video as The Paradise Problem, given it 5 stars. This is like a women's fiction with like a subplot of romance, and at this point I've read every single book on this author's backlist that's like an adult contemporary romance, and it's so good, it's so sweet, it's so sad, but nothing will ever top this book. Honestly, this is one of the best ones I've ever read. There's so many different themes in it, and there's so much I can go on about. One day, maybe I'll literally just sit down and make a breakdown video about this book specifically because of my love for it. And now I can't wait to go reread it again because it's hardly like 200 pages, but the impact it delivers for what it is crazy. I don't know how the author did that. Absolute yes. Shipped. Another rom-com that I forgot everything about because it's not very memorable. First half was great, second half was not. We know the drill. This is a maybe, maybe not. The Last Party. Again, I liked it in the moment, but I feel like it did fall a little flat towards the end because I was a little bored. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm gonna say maybe because it was good, the ending, but I feel like it was a little slower to get into, so maybe. Black Island. Me in my children's book era. Absolute yes. 5 Broken Blades. If you want to read something wherein all of the characters in like a fantasy are lying to each other and they're essentially banded up together to kill the God King, that's the premise of the book. It's good, but it's very, very slow, but the ending kind of makes up for it. But again, it's very slow. So if you want to read it, you can, but the second book I have read it at this point. That was crazy, that was spectacular, that was amazing. Spectacular, give me 14 more of them. I loved it. Honestly, just for the sake of getting to the second book, I'm gonna say yes for this. This is like an actual maybe, but just because you have to read the second book, it's a yes from me, because now I can't wait for the third one when it comes out in July. That is crazy that the author is giving 2 fantasy books in 1 year, and I'm so excited. I'm ecstatic. That is one book I'm so feral for the day it comes out, and now I cannot wait. So honestly, yeah. The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie, that is a huge title, that is a mouthful. This is like satire, but I didn't know in the moment, so I was waiting for the whole point of like a mystery thriller to hit in, except I was cackling the entire time, and then later towards the end I realized it was satire rather than an actual mystery thriller or whatever. So it's good if you want to read it as satire, but because I read it as a mystery thriller, I was a little disappointed until I realized my mistake, so it's my fault, it's not the book's fault. I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not. Textbook romance, this is like reverse age gap, and it's done so well. I can't wait to read more by this author. There's so much in this. Chicken emoji, like jokes or whatever. When you read it, you'll understand, and it's so freaking good. I can't wait to reread this at some point. This is a yes from me. I loved every second of it. Yeah. You Will Be Mine. I hate it also when mystery thriller authors throw in random plot twists out of left field to kind of shock you, except there was no build up for the plot twist, so where did it come from? And that's basically the whole point of this book. This is like a maybe not. absolutely not for me. It depends on like my mood in the day, because I was hooked from the beginning, but I feel like the ending really like let me down. So maybe not, no. Rewrite a story, this is a no. Absolutely not. Like I said in my special past books video, I read for escapism, not for stupidity. I'm not reading about a bunch of adults being literally just stupid and insecure, because while insecurity is fine, being dumb and gloating about it in your face is not. And sometimes I wish I could go back to the person I was a year ago when I was reading this book and give her a hug and tell her to just put it down and let it go, because this was not worth my time. No. Lady Macbeth, we've been reading the original story by Shakespeare in school for a couple years now, so this felt like fate, because I think this was the last year they were teaching it in school, and next year onwards they don't do it anymore. So I had to read it, and this, for what it was, it's supposed to be like following Lady Macbeth and her as a character, but I feel like she really fell short because she wasn't as evil or cunning as she is in the original book. Here's where, for the first time ever, I'm supporting an original Shakespeare book rather than something else. Never thought I'd ever see that day. So because of that, it's a good book if you want to read it, but I feel like if you're thinking about it, going into it as a character study, especially considering the fact that the book is literally named by that character, it should be more relevant to the character and like a depiction of the character according to the original book. So I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not, but the gothic vibes in this were really good, so keep that in mind. Pizza Girl, weird obsessions, weird hyperfixations. Again, would like to go back and give past me a hug for even, reading this and going through with it. No. Please, no, I hate it. I want to throw up just thinking about it. No, what was the point? Same time next summer, she was engaged to her fiance the entire time. She was pining for her, I guess, like high school sweetheart or whatever. And like, it's good because nothing really happened between them. There was no cheating trope in this. And it's like childhood friends to lovers and like second chance and all my favorite tropes. But because she was engaged to another man the entire time they were interacting, even though nothing happened between them, I got icked out. So I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not. But otherwise, even though this is like my least favorite book by this author, there's a lot that was fun about it. And listen, it's Annabelle Monaghan. She's still one of my top authors ever, so I'm not going to be too harsh on it. But yeah, I know you did it. This was the thriller I was messing up the previous one with. I think it was This Lie Will Kill You. I was getting messed up between these two. Again, if it's not memorable enough that you keep messing a couple names with it, it just shows you that maybe it wasn't worth your time. And so because of that, I'm just going to say maybe not, because even the plot twist at the end, like, what was the point? There was no build up. I didn't really enjoy it. Why? The Devil Wears Black. See, here's the thing. It's got certain scenes that were so cute and romancy and I think about sometimes. But also, on the other hand, I get the ick thinking about it too, because the guy in this book had zero boundaries. Even when the girl told him to like back off or whatever, because it's supposed to be like fake dating and whatever, and like asking him to please leave her alone and let her live her life the way she wants to, he'd still butt in and he didn't see like boundaries and shit. And so because of that, I get the ick. But also it's got cute scenes. So I'm very conflicted. I'm gonna say maybe not, just because he didn't respect her boundaries and I don't stand for that. Bright Young Woman. Here's the thing with this book. I saw in a Goodreads review, don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but apparently the author wrote this like as a Ted Bundy fictionalized account or whatever, and that feels very wrong and I guess abusive to victims and victims' families who suffered at the hands of that man. So I'm gonna say no, because if I would have known that it was something like that, I wouldn't have picked it up or supported. So it's a no from me, but again, up to you if you want to read it. The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I know for a good reason now why I don't read Nicholas Sparks. This has yet another trope that I really hate. You know that one trope we've been speaking about since in 5 years? That trope came again. It hit me hard in the face. I hate it every second. And the way Nicholas Sparks describes women in this book is the literal depiction, the literal example, textbook example of women written by man. And I hated that. Honestly, no. Please, no. Would rather literally repeatedly smash my head into a wall than read this again, because no. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. The kids in this book are my children at this point because I love them so much. I love this book so much. This author, I've read only one book by her, but she's in my top authors list because it was so witty. It was so fun. The romance was so fun. This is a book wherein I didn't feel the ick at any point whatsoever, and I was rooting for them the entire time rather than enjoying the first half and hating the second, because it was done that well. And so it's a yes from me because it was so good. Pretty Girls. This was the one I was speaking about when we were talking about the Red Room like a few books ago. And if you want to read this, check triggers before you get into it. I as a person will never recommend this on my channel, but in my personal opinion, if you're a woman, this is one book you should read in your lifetime if you're a woman, because I feel like it educates you to a lot about the world. I was a different person before I read this book. It's crazy how, far we've come or whatever, but looking back on it now, it's not something I'd ask you to read because it's very heavy and very dense. But at the same time, if you're a woman, you should read it. So from me, it's a yes, but I'm not recommending it in any way, shape or form. My Heart and Other Black Holes. Now, Pretty Girls actually put me off of reading at that point. I was too numb to feel anything because it really just gave me such like an emotional blow to the fact where I felt so drained. I feel like, let's go back for a sec. When I was reading this book, and when I was done reading it, I felt so, I guess, scared of everything and everyone in my, vicinity. I was, backed away from men or whatever in general. So this had me feeling a lot, and because of that, I didn't feel the whole emotional impact that I should have felt from reading this book. So again, it would hit me harder, and the grief in this would have been stronger if I hadn't read Pretty Girls right before it. But because I did, it didn't hit me as hard. So I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not. But you can read it if you want to. The Grace here. This is me getting into fantasy again. Absolute yes, apart from the random romance at the end, which I wasn't really having fun with, and the way it was concluded. But apart from that, this is like a yes because it was so fun. Fall in Love, another rom-com. First half was great, second half was not. This is like such a drill at this point in this video and on this channel. This is like a maybe, maybe not. What D by Frida McFadden. This is the only Frida book where I actually guessed the biggest plot twist in it. So I'm gonna say maybe not, simply because I guessed it. But it had me on my toes the entire time. So if you want to read it, you definitely can, because it is crazy and it is wild. Genuinely don't know how I ever guessed it. And I've never guessed anything since by her. So that speaks volumes. But yeah, this was like a fluke for me. Maybe not. Unsure Asleep. This is like a whole trilogy which essentially follows this like group of FBI kids. There's two of them, Emma and Travis, and they essentially talk to serial killers of like cold cases, and they ask them their motives behind it, but it ties into real life cases that go on at the moment in their life. It's not like real life in our life or whatever, it's just fictional, but for what it was really fun. I'm gonna say yes because I had a good time reading. When You Were Everything. If you've ever lost a friend for whatever reason, this book will resonate with you, and I feel like it would resonate with a lot of us, because this, honestly, while I was reading it felt like the author opened a window into my mind, took my little thoughts out and wrote them on paper, because it was very vivid for what it was. It's crazy how she, nailed so many things right, but also I was quite bored reading it, so I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not, because I was bored, but otherwise it's a great emotional depiction. Some Shall Break, second one in the None Shall Sleep. This is a yes from me because I love this series so much. I had a great time reading, yes. Dogman, again, children's book, yes please. Beach Read by Emily Henry. When I Watch You Sleep, I feel overwhelmed that you exist. Yes, this again is one of the best books I've read in my lifetime. Already come to terms with the fact that I'll never read anything like it. Nothing will ever live up to it, so might as well stop trying, because yes, I will never recover, and I don't even want to recover. I want to stay stuck in this world forever because it has Gus and January in it. You Again, this in like a Goodreads review I saw was described as, if Emily Henry characters were absolute horrible people, it would be this book, and I agree. I hated it. They were so unlikable, they were so insufferable. Please no. Just because the cover is cute, I picked it up, and I hate myself for doing that, because absolutely freaking not. It was such a waste of my time. Juniper Hill. This is one I actually enjoyed surprisingly, but also thinking back on it, I was bored during bits, because I feel like every romance in this series feels very physical from the beginning. So if you want to read it, you can, and this is the only one I actually enjoyed from the series, but maybe, maybe not. That's all I'm gonna say. I haven't finished the series for context, but maybe, maybe not. Ninth House. Here's me getting into my fantasy era for good reason. This one is not for beginners, so me reading it as a beginner, I feel like it would have hit me harder if I would have read it, going into it now and thinking deeper. But yeah, it was a lot to digest, it was a lot to process, and I had so much fun with every second of it. Secret societies, conspiracy theories, random murder mysteries, but then also it ties in so crazy, and it had my jaw on the ground. Best dark academia vibes. Absolute freaking yes, this is so good. I loved it, even though it's not really for beginners, and I had a good time. I don't really care, but it is harder to get into, so keep that in mind. This one is essentially the novella that kind of inspired Ward D to be written, so it's like a shorter length version of Ward D, and so it was alright. I'm just gonna say that, because Ward D, again, that fell a little flat for me, so this one too in that sense fell a little flat, but otherwise it's fine. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. If you ever want a book that reminds you of Howl's Moving Castle or ACOTAR, this is the book for you. It's like a standalone fantasy. It's perfect for beginners. It was so much fun. There was so much about it. I love the fantasy in it. I love the romance in it. I love the whole, whimsical, wholesome, like story vibes or whatever, the setting of it, the magical fairy world, things that were going out in the background, the whole story aspect behind it. It was so fun, honestly, and there's like a plague situation. I feel like that's been going on. There's like a curse that reminds me of so many different fantasy books I love reading about, so yes. The Prison Healer. This one is slow, but the ending makes up for it. I have read the whole series at this point, and I do believe the third one is the best one in the series, so I'm gonna say yes, just so you can get to the third book. But this one as a book otherwise, it's like a maybe from me because it was very slow to get into. And listen, I was bored for majority of it, but I had a good time regardless because I was reading this at the time wherein I was still a beginner into fantasy and anything could wow me easily because I hadn't read a lot of fantasy by then. A Million Junes. Emily Henry let me down. Never thought I'd say that, but here we are. This one, I feel like it was very heavy on the grief rather than magical realism, and I came here for the fantasy aspect, so I didn't enjoy majority of it. I was bored, but otherwise it's a good book if you want to be there for the grief, so it's a maybe, maybe not from me, but you can read it if you want to. Book of Doors. Since the last time I spoke to you, I have gone ahead and called for my physical. It came in the mail. I have it with me. I have like this beautiful hardcover of it and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Currently trying to get my sister to read it, honestly, because it's so good. It was such an amazing time. I loved every second. If you're a book lover, you will probably really like this book. And listen, this was it for me. I peaked here with fantasy. I don't know how we can get any better than this. Magical realism was done right in this book, and listen, it was a great time, yes. The Wicked Deep. There was like one major plot twist in this and I guessed it from the very beginning, so I'm just gonna say no because I feel like, I don't know, I was very let down and it felt like my time was wasted because I'd persevered through thinking it would be better, but it wasn't, so no. In my children's book era, will I ever say no to a children's book? No, that's just never going to happen. This was a yes because it's a children's book and I had a good time. The Gilded Cage. This is the second one in Prison Healer. Again, like I said, this is not as slow as Prison Healer. It's much better. It didn't fall into second book syndrome, but you know, it's still not as good as the third one. It's really good, don't get me wrong. The ending is so crazy, wild, absolutely out of this world. So I'm gonna say yes, but also you should read it so you can get to the third one because the third one is, oh my god, the best thing I've read so far because it was so good. We read this in school. I forgot to add it to my Goodreads. I added it to my Goodreads at that point and I forgot to, you know, include it in or whatever, so it's just been thrown in there. But because I read it for school, there's only so many deep dives you can do about a book before you start getting sick of it, so I'm not really gonna give like a rating on it simply because I read it in school so many times that I'm so sick of even looking at it at this point. But it's like a maybe from me because I'm just done with it. Alright, what you're looking for is in the library. This book talks about how a good book recommendation can change your life, which is the point of this channel, so it's a yes from me. Am I biased? Yes. I don't care. Yes, this is an amazing book. Please go pick it up. 5 short stories, but somehow this was the most productive time of my life reading it because it inspired me in my real life. Not a lot of books do that, so yes. You look better as a ghost. This has got the female serial killer aspect. I mean, it was fun, honestly. I love reading about female serial killers. If you'd love like a book recommendations video for those kind of books, because I've read so many at this point, I'd love to do one. So this isn't as good as the other books I've read with female serial killers, but it was a good time anyway, so I'm gonna say maybe because I had fun. I love reading about that kind of stuff, so I don't even care. It was good. Yellow Face. The ending, it kind of let me down because it wasn't really what I expected, but at the same time, I was alright with it in the moment, so it was really good. It had 5-star potential because the first like half was so crazy amazing, but just because the ending was what it was, I'm gonna say maybe, otherwise it would have been a yes. This is me starting the Romance 101 series on Webtoon because my friend asked me to. It's a very healthy romance series, but it's also really boring sometimes, so read it if you want to. For me, it's like a maybe just because of how healthy and green flaggy it is, but I was bored for majority of it. I have finished at this point, so it's like a 3.5-4-star series overall, but it's a little boring, so I'm gonna say maybe. Next book in the Romance 101 series, maybe. Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I enjoyed this in the moment, but looking back, it wasn't much without the whole fall vibes going for it. I feel like the romance felt really short. If it hadn't been for the fall vibes, I would have hated it because it was very physical, but because of the cover, because of the vibes in it, it felt very small towny, except in like, you know, fall weather time. It was good. I had a good time while I was reading it, except the romance wasn't it, so it's a maybe. Right now the new one came out in the series, I think a couple days ago, so that's actually perfect timing because I think I will pick it up. But again, if you want to read the series, don't really read it for the romance because it is very physical, so it's a maybe. Praise. Me and my forbidden romance era. I don't think so, honestly. There's a lot about it that icked me out. There's a lot that cringed me out. I still don't even know why I'm continuing the series. It's a maybe not. Children's book alert. yes. Even though I didn't enjoy this very much, I'm gonna say yes anyway because it's a children's book and children's books make me happy. The Blood Traitor. This is the one I keep speaking about. This is the third one in Prison Healer. This is the peak of my fantasy reading. It doesn't get better from here. This is the pinnacle. This was so good. I loved every second. Honestly, thinking back on it, there's so much about it that I absolutely enjoy. At some point, I want to reread it, but I won't reread the first couple books just to get to it because I'm not going to put myself through that. This was good for what it was. It was like a good conclusion to the series. I had a fun time. This is a yes. The Perfect Son by Frida McFadden. Again, now here's the thing. By the time the ending came, I didn't guess it, but because it was so monotonous and slow, I was mentally checked out and bored. So I'm gonna say maybe because I didn't care that I didn't guess the ending by the time it came because I was just done with the book. So maybe. Hellbent. This fell into second book syndrome. This is the next one after Ninth House, and I love Ninth House, but I really didn't enjoy this because it was so boring. I was so done with it. And I will say when the next book comes out in the series, I'm gonna read it regardless. But I didn't enjoy this one specifically, so maybe not. But I'll read the next one anyway. Nutcracker. This was my first time reading it, so if I would have read it as a child, I would have been feral for it, but because I'm reading it now, it was a good time. But I don't really know if I'd ask you to read it because, again, if you want to, you can. This is a maybe from me, but it wasn't like the best thing I've ever read. Christmas Tales. This author, I used to read her as a kid, so reading back now gave me all the childhood nostalgia that I was hoping and looking for. It was a good time. I'm gonna say yes just because I love reading stuff like this sometimes, occasionally to break my other things up, so yeah. Next book in the Romance 101 series, maybe. The Christmas Wish. This follows one of my favorite romance book tropes ever, Groundhog's Day, wherein the day repeats over and over, except it was set in Christmas and Christmas Day kept repeating. This was really fun. I know a lot of people don't like it and I'm in the minority here that actually enjoyed it, but I'm just gonna say I had a great time reading, so I'm just gonna say maybe because it was good, but also I don't know if I'd really recommend because I know a lot of people won't enjoy it anyway, but it's a maybe. Next book in Romance 101, maybe. Milk and Honey. Everyone's gonna get so mad at me for what I say next, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. If you have an older sister, this book feels like what your older sister would tell you, but also it feels like a bunch of Tumblr posts. So don't get mad at me when I say that, but also I am the older sister. I don't have anyone older than me. So it's just giving me that aesthetic and vibe. It was good for what it was in the moment when I read it because I don't go out of my way to read poetry. This was literally the first and only time I've ever gone out of school to go and read something on my own time. So it was good for what it was, but looking back, it was also very generic. So maybe. My December Darling. This was a buddy read with my friend. That was one of the best times of the year. Even though this book is like a novella and I didn't, enjoy it as much as I'd have enjoyed it if it was like a full length, because I buddy read it with my friend, that added on to the experience. So I'm gonna say yes just because I remember the time I was reading this in my life as a really good time because I had a great time. So yeah. The Christmas Fix. This was going viral a couple years ago around Christmas time, but it's very physical and I don't know if I really necessarily enjoyed it because of the physical aspect. I really love my romances to be more emotional and more deep, so I'm gonna say maybe, maybe not. Don't get mad at me. Window Shopping. For what it was 200 pages. It was so freaking spicy. I was wondering where all of that came from. Absolutely not, honestly, but it also follows an ex-convict, like a jail prisoner or whatever, so that is interesting. But again, for what the spice was in this book, I don't necessarily know if I'd ask you to read it, so you can if you want to, but from me it's a no. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. There's a reason I love this author so much. She balances mystery, like a whole spy aspect, with romance, and she does the perfect combo and setting. I love her so much. She is probably in my top 5 authors ever, and so this book obviously broke all standards. I had such a great time, and it's set during Christmas. Like, what more could I ask for? Absolutely yes, I had a great time. Sweet Temptation. Me trying out dark mafia romances, but this wasn't even mafia heavy. It was so chill that I was bored. I don't know, if you want to read it you can, but also he neglects his dog. I don't care how traumatized you are, you cannot neglect your dog and treat it that way. Absolute freaking not from me. Like, literally just go to hell. Honestly, straight to hell. Prince of the Affair. I read this, I believe, in like a couple sittings, and it's like an 80-page novella, but for the emotional reaction that it dragged out of me, it felt like a 400-page length book. Because I'm not even joking, I wanted to tear up at the ending. I wanted more from it. And it wasn't even that long, so how did it do that to me? So I enjoyed it. I'm gonna read this author's new book when it comes out this year. I have a couple books of hers on my physical TBR. We'll get to them at some point. It was great. Yeah. No Exit by Taylor Adams. I was listening to this on my way back from one of my vacations. It was such like a perfect book to end my year with, because I will say, It was so good. I think it follows like a rest stop and like incidents that happen there. It's like a thriller. And so when I was at the rest stop in the middle of my breaks while coming back, it was like a road trip. This was hitting me the best vibes ever. So yeah, it's a yes from me. And this is where books written by men are redeeming themselves, because it was written by Taylor Adams and not Nicholas Sparks, and I had a great time. Next book in Romance 101, maybe. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. This is the next book in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. If you want to read it, you can. The romance in this was much better than the one in the first book, but this had summer vibes, and I really wanted to read the Christmas book, which is the third one in the series. And you know, I wanted to get it done, so I was reading this, a Somerset book, during December, which wasn't the best time to read it, so the summer vibes fell short for me. But the romance, again, like I said, wasn't as bad as the first one, where it was so physical insta lovey that I hated it. So it was alright for what it was, maybe. And with that, we have reached the end of our slideshow. So that's it for this long video. If you guys had a fun time coming along with me, speaking yes, no, or maybe about the books I read in 2024, definitely like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, and I'll see you hopefully very soon in my next video, whenever it comes out, whatever it's about. Again, it took me so long to make this PPT for the Smash and Pass books video that I had to utilize it again in some way. So this is how we did that, and hopefully you guys had a good time coming along with me. Like I said, take all my opinions in this video with a grain of salt, because like I said, again, it doesn't really matter. It's not that serious. And so that's it. This has been one long sit down video, so whatever, we're just gonna end it here. I'll see you in my next video hopefully very soon, and until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye.